Have you ever noticed that the moment right after intimacy often feels finished for him, while it still feels unfinished for you? He is lying there, or he has turned slightly onto his side. His breathing has already settled. One of his hands may still be resting against your arm or your back, but the quality of his attention has changed. Something quiet has withdrawn. You are still inside the closeness. You still want a few more minutes of presence, a sentence or two, the simple continuation of being held without anything having to happen next. But the air has shifted. He has returned to himself. The feeling that follows is rarely dramatic. It is light, almost hard to name. You were just close, and yet you feel slightly left in the middle of something. If this has happened to you, I want you to hear it clearly. That feeling does not mean you are asking for too much. It does not mean he does not care. At this age, many women are living inside a quiet mismatch that almost no one names directly. I want to tell you about Diane. She is 61. After nearly 30 years of marriage that ended without much noise, she began dating again. The man she met was 64, steady, polite, in no particular hurry. He listened when she spoke. He did not push. The first time they became intimate, it felt natural enough, nothing forced, nothing awkward, but afterward he returned to ordinary very quickly. He spoke lightly. At one point he got up to make tea. Diane remained in the quiet of what had just happened, still wanting to stay inside the closeness a little longer. She said nothing. She only asked herself the same question many women ask in that moment. Am I needing too much, or is he giving too little? What Diane was feeling was not imaginary, and it was not simply about affection or the lack of it. Something more specific was taking place inside him. For a large number of men past 55, sex has slowly changed its meaning. It is no longer primarily the emotional merging that many women experience it to be. It has become, in quiet ways, a form of internal confirmation. He is not always reaching for deep connection in the way she is. He is, often without fully realizing it, checking something that matters to him at this stage of life. Can his body still respond? Can he still create desire in a woman? Does he still register, even briefly, as a man in the way he has understood that word for 3 or 4 decades? It is not pure physical pleasure alone. It is a quieter sense of competence, a private verification that a core part of how he has measured himself still functions. When the act is completed, a significant internal need has been met. A circle has closed. His nervous system, which has spent years protecting a certain distance, begins to settle back into its familiar range. He is not necessarily choosing distance on purpose. He is returning to the state that has felt safest and most like himself for a very long time. That is the core of the mismatch. For him, intimacy of this kind is frequently the end point of a confirmation. Once the body has done what it needed to do, an important piece of his self-regard has been quietly marked complete. The continued presence she still longs for does not carry the same weight for him in that moment. For her, the same act is often the beginning. She is not only wanting to be touched, she is wanting to remain inside the sense of being chosen, the residual attention, the unhurried staying, the feeling that what just happened included more than the physical. They are standing at opposite ends of the same experience. He has completed something. She has only just opened something. This is not a small difference, and it is not one that softens simply because both people are older and supposedly wiser. In many men, the link between sexual capacity and a lasting sense of masculine worth was formed decades earlier and never fully revised. As age, health, and physical change begin to press in, sex becomes one of the remaining places where that older measure of self can still be tested and, for a short time, reassured. When the test is passed, a low-level private tension eases. He can return to baseline more quickly than she can. He is not empty of feeling. He is operating from a definition of the act that was shaped long before this particular night. And long before he met her, that is what Diane was sensing in the quiet after he got up to make tea. Not rejection, not indifference, a difference in what the moment had meant. That difference in meaning is rarely spoken about, especially by men of this generation. Many of them would not even describe it in these terms if asked. Yet it operates quietly underneath the surface of a great number of later life intimacies. For decades, a man's sense of himself as still fully a man was reinforced in multiple places: work, physical strength, the ability to provide, the ability to be desired. As those arenas narrow with age, the body becomes one of the last remaining places where that older measure can still be tested. Sex, then, carries more weight than the simple desire for closeness. It becomes a private, often unspoken verification. I can still do this. I can still be wanted in this way. I have not yet disappeared from the category I have lived inside for most of my adult life. When that verification succeeds, something settles in him. A low background tension that he may not even have named Isis for a while. The nervous system, which has spent years learning how to protect a certain emotional distance, recognizes that the necessary confirmation has occurred. It begins to return him to the range that feels most familiar and most sustainable. That return can look, from the outside, like withdrawal. From the inside, it often feels simply like coming back to himself. This is why the shift after intimacy can feel so abrupt to the woman. She is still inside the opening that the closeness created. She is still waiting for the residual presence, the unhurried conversation, the continued contact, the sense that what happened included her as a whole person, and not only as the occasion for his confirmation. He has already completed the part that mattered most to him in that moment. The two experiences are running on different clocks. None of this requires him to be cold or uncaring. Many of these men are capable of genuine affection. They can be steady companions. They can enjoy her company. But the architecture of what sex has come to mean for them was built long before this relationship, and it does not automatically revise itself simply because both people are older. The confirmation function remains. And once it has been fulfilled, the deeper staying that she is hoping for does not always follow with the same naturalness. This is the place where many women begin to turn the question inward. They wonder whether they are too sensitive, too needy, too slow to return to ordinary. They have heard versions of that judgment before, in earlier marriages, in earlier relationships, sometimes from the culture itself. The old message returns. You are asking for more than is reasonable. I want to say this as clearly as I can. Wanting to remain inside the closeness after intimacy is not a sign that you are too much. It is the natural movement of a woman who experiences sex as the beginning of being chosen, not the end of a private test. When you bring that depth into a space that is primarily organized around confirmation, the feeling of being left unfinished is almost inevitable. It is not evidence of your excess. It is evidence of a mismatch in what the act is doing for each of you. You are not wrong for noticing the gap. You are not wrong for feeling the quiet loneliness that can arrive, even while you are still physically near him. Depth offered into a shallower container will always create the sensation of rejection, even when no rejection was intended. That sensation is information, not a character flaw. The clearer you become about this difference, the less you will need to argue with yourself about whether your response is appropriate. You will be able to see more accurately what is actually being offered. Some men at this age are capable of more than confirmation. Some have revised, over time, the old link between sexual capacity and masculine worth. With them, the after can feel shared. The presence continues. The choosing is mutual and unhurried. Others remain largely inside the older pattern. With them, the act will reliably complete something for him and leave something incomplete for you. That is not a failure of effort on your part. It is the predictable result of two different internal definitions meeting in the same bed. Once you understand that, the self-blame begins to loosen. You no longer have to interpret the quiet shift afterward as proof that you asked for too much or that you failed to be enough. You can simply recognize that what he needed from the moment and what you needed from the moment were not the same thing. And from that clearer place, you can decide, with less confusion and more self-respect, whether the closeness you are being offered is one that truly includes you, or one that mainly serves a confirmation he still requires. That recognition does not need to be dramatic. It does not require confrontation or ultimatum. It simply restores a kind of quiet accuracy. You stop carrying the full weight of a mismatch that was never yours alone to solve. You see the difference for what it is, and you protect the part of you that still wants to be chosen all the way through.